Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new edition of KerVAM, a Doctor Who podcast where primarily we talk about the DVDs, Blu-rays, the physical media releases of Doctor Who, and that's certainly what we're going to be doing today, where we're discussing the recently released Season 20 Blu-ray box set, I think 13th release in the collection range, 12th, 13th, something like that. We're about, is it 14th?
14th, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. I'm underselling it. We're over halfway now, which is pretty amazing. And I feel like we talked about almost every single box set on this podcast. So of course we've got to cover off season 20. So we're going to discuss all the new special features and documentaries, the new version of the Five Doctors, lots to chat about there. But of course we were also a number of weeks away from the Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials. I'd love to tell you how many weeks, but we just don't know. So I'm obviously joined by Ryan and Charlie, the OG three of us from the beginning of KerVAM podcast 2.5 years ago. Charlie, Doctor Who should be airing in 3 weeks, shouldn't it? Surely. Like, how have they not told us yet? What's going on?
I don't know. Like, Russell, generally speaking, has been very, very good on the marketing. Like, that's one of the main things that's made this era better already, even though we haven't officially started. Like, the fact that Chibnall was really bad and just released, like, a trailer, like, a month before.
Yeah.
Which is fine, I guess. But even then, I'm pretty sure we knew the release date for Flux over a month before it started. And now we're like, when is this happening? Like, I'm very, very excited for the episodes, but at the end of the day, I don't know when to be excited for.
That's
like,
the thing. Yeah.
This could be on the 11th of November, which is like 22 days ago, like 3 weeks away, like 3 weeks. Or it could be on like the 28th and then just going into December, like you said.
Yeah.
We have absolutely no idea. Because as excited as I am for the new episodes, I feel it's kind of poor judgment on Russell's part not giving us the release dates. Like, I think he should have done it months ago, to be honest.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I really don't. I think we saw how, as fans, we experienced how frustrating it was for the whole of the Chibnall era getting hardly any information. And yes, Russell's been a lot better at general information, but actual release dates where I can, know to get excited about it because it's coming. Like, I could be 3 weeks away, it could be 6 weeks away. Like, we just don't know. And so I don't know, Ryan. What if you had to guess? Where do you think, Ryan, we're leaning towards? Do you think it's going to be earlier in November or later in November that it starts?
I wish I had a definitive answer because it really could go either way, really. Because it's a bit weird because you would have thought they would have announced it by now. And it's nice that they're giving us trailers to get us excited about it. There's that. But in terms of actual release dates, there hasn't really been anything. I mean,
I know.
The more optimistic and seems more likely would likely be throughout November, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did end of November going into December as a way of trying to, keep it as close to the Christmas special as possible. So, I mean, who knows? It could go either way.
Yeah, I think what we do know is that Tom Spilsbury, who used to be the editor of Doctor Who magazine and is now, I think, the editor of one of the TV Guide magazines. I can't remember exactly which one, but he said on a popular Doctor Who forum, based on what he's seen, that the specials are going to air on the 25th of November, 2nd of December, and 9th of December. So they're sort of later dates than what everybody else is expecting. So I don't want to believe that's true. But also, I do kind of lend some credit to him, and he's not going to make that up. And it's definitely, at least what he's seen, which could be wrong, but what he's seen suggests that those are going to be the dates. So I don't know. I just want it to be soon because I feel like I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I feel like for the last 9 months, I've struggled to get that excited about Doctor Who and the 60th and all of it. But I feel like now I am actually getting really excited for it, and I'm ready for it to happen now. It's I think this weekend marks a year since The Power of the Doctor aired, and so we're about to reach in the next 7 days the point where we've had the longest gap between Doctor Who episodes since before 2005. So I'm ready for it to be back. I don't know. Charlie, are you feeling the hype? Are you feeling more excited about it now?
I wasn't, for the most part. Power of the Doctor was really good, and I think it's crazy that Chibnall pulled that off. And I was sort of excited about it because we got the trailer on Christmas Day last year, and that was great. We talked about that.
Yeah.
And then in the months afterwards, it sort of just declined, and I didn't forget about Doctor Who, but I just sort of thought, we're months and months away from the next episode. Why think about it too much? So just watch some Classic Who. And I've been watching through all of Classic Who and all of New Who at the same time.
Amazing.
Right now, I'm on the double bill of Hell, Time in the Rani, and Arachnids in the UK.
Wow, what a great combo!
Yeah,
best double bill ever.
I mean, yeah, you're not in the peak eras really right now, there, are you? I know a lot of Sylvester is good, but season 24 is definitely not the highlights.
No, I mean, I'm nearly on Paradise Towers, and that's pretty good, I think.
Paradise Towers is all right, to be fair. Yeah, I'll agree
and I know you hate it, but I love Delta and the Bannermen, so it's not that bad.
I don't mind Delta and the Bannermen. I know Ryan's not a fan, but I mean,
that's right. It's Ryan, not you.
Well, maybe I did hate it the last time I saw it. I can't actually remember. Ryan, do you hate Delta and the Bannermen, or was it me who hated Delta and the Bannermen last time? Maybe I hated it. I can't remember. The green baby thing was ridiculous, but
yeah, I think I don't know. It was. It's difficult to remember. I think it was. I mean, I don't think it's good. It's definitely not good, but it is a bit of a guilty pleasure. I can't really say it's good, but it's good as like a little guilty pleasure experience. I think that's the best way to describe it, really.
Yeah, that's fair.
Pretty much. It's like, anyway, I've been watching through most of Classic and New Who, and I've been loving that. Not really anymore, but
yes, you've got through all the good eras.
Yeah, pretty much. But anyway, I've sort of been watching through that, but when the last trailer released, I was very, very excited, and I still sort of am. But I'm kind of, I think it's sort of diminished even a little bit since then, because I just don't know when to be excited for. Like, if they just gave me a release date, I'd be counting down the days, because I'm a massive Doctor Who fan and have been for years. But I remember when I first started getting into Doctor Who, I remember I saw, it's Doctor Who's 52nd anniversary. And I thought, oh wow, it'd be cool if they do like a Day of the Doctor thing in 8 years' time. And here we are.
Yeah,
and
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
I think November 23rd would be perfect. I don't know why they don't do it on the exact day. I know it's like a Thursday or something random, but I don't see why not.
No, I get it. I think they must just be averse, because it's 3. I think if it was 1 episode, maybe they would have done it on a Thursday. But I feel like because it's 3, they don't want to have it on different nights each week. And I don't think they'd put it on 3 consecutive Thursdays. I don't think they'd quite feel like that's the way to relaunch Doctor Who, is on a Thursday night. I think it's probably the reason for it.
I think whatever happens, I think Saturdays would be very, very nice, because I don't like Sundays.
No, I don't like Sundays either. Saturdays is the best way. You've still got a day of the weekend to enjoy after it, and it's like rather than to go straight back to work for me on a Monday morning.
Exactly. Like, if it's really good, which it hasn't been the last 5 years, so it doesn't matter. But if you want to rewatch it, you can rewatch it on the Sunday, but you can't really do that on a Monday.
I think the reason why they did the whole Sunday thing, I think, is because the fact that there was so many popular dramas were like happening on Sundays. I think they wanted to try and capitalize on that with the Jodie Whittaker era. But the thing, if the whole of Jodie Whittaker era was phenomenal, then maybe they might have got away with that. But it's just been a very mixed bag overall. So and as a result, the whole Sunday experience just didn't really pay off as well. So as a result, I can't wait to go back to Saturdays again, and hopefully with it, we're now having the 60th trilogy, the Christmas special that'll be leading into the new series, which will be most likely beginning of next year. And hopefully with Doctor Who now get back onto a yearly, now being a yearly thing, with them already, it seems like they're in production on shooting that was 2nd season already.
It's crazy.
And all these talks about spin-offs, it just feels nice they're trying to get Doctor Who back in the zeitgeist again, and to make it a regular topic, and not having these constant hiatuses, which have been painful ever since, I believe, 2016, maybe. But then again, it was kind of understandable what happened there with the Capaldi era. But with the Whittaker era, there was just no excuse for all those constant hiatus and delays. I mean, maybe there was towards the end because of COVID, but even then, it was. Hopefully, they can turn the ship around with this with the 60th and the shooting out war era. Hopefully, fingers crossed on that.
Exactly. I definitely think that it's gonna, there's just so much we're gonna get that I think it is gonna bring back all the hype after it's all been a bit quiet recently. I think it's fair to say. And one of the things that's got me most hyped in the last couple of weeks was the Doctor Who concert that was released a couple of weeks ago. The new Doctor Who theme tune, the new themes for Ruby Sunday and the 15th Doctor, which were tremendously exciting. So Charlie, the new Doctor Who theme tune, do you like it? Do you love it? Are you kind of okay about it? What do you feel so far?
At the end of the day, I'm very excited because it's a new Doctor Who theme tune. We'll get this in the 60th and Series 14 and beyond, I'm guessing, or maybe just Series 14 and beyond. I'm not sure if they'll do like an Unearthly Child sort of thing.
That's what I wondered. Yeah, that's what I wondered. So
that's what they did for the 50th. I think it'd be cool if they did like a sort of. It starts off with that, then it morphs into the Troughton one, and just keeps going like that because that's great. But it as a theme tune itself. As far as Doctor Who theme tunes go, like if I was to compare it to all of them, it's okay. I think the best one is still the season 23 one. I think that was.
I love the season 23 one. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Ironically, it's my least favorite season of Doctor Who. But the intro is fantastic, and I just really like. I think they should do something similar to that, like the 80s style ones. I love them, but I think. They did try and make it a bit too busy. Like at the start, they've got a lot of stuff going on, which, like, I can sort of look past because at the end of the day, it's an intro that we'll hear for about 30 seconds, if that. So it doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, it's not the best Doctor Who theme, but at the end of the day, we've still got some more Doctor Who stuff happening, and I like that. I do think the 15th Doctor and Ruby Sunday's themes were pretty good, though, to be honest. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably what in some ways wasn't helped with the theme tune was that it was a live recording of it. I don't think that in a live setting, I don't think that's actually given us the best version of what that theme tune is going to be. It did sound a little bit messy in places. I think there was somebody who'd said about how they'd slowed it down just very slightly as well, probably to make it easier to play, I suppose, but presumably they'll then speed that up slightly when we hear the actual thing. So I think it will just sound more like what we're used to from a Doctor Who theme. I mean, I loved the little piano keys of the TV movie theme. That was my highlight, was probably that. Like, what? Just so random. Like, why, Murray, have you chosen to pull out these random notes from the TV movie theme? But I thought it was real fun. I don't know, Ryan, what did you think of the new theme?
Season 23 theme. Well, that and the season 20. The Sylvester McCoy theme.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably are my bottom two, with the McCoy one being my least favourite.
Yeah, I don't like the McCoy one, but I do like the season 23 one.
I mean, the McCoy one is the bottom of the barrel for me. I just do not like it. And the 23 one, it didn't really do that much for me. In terms of my personal favourite of all the theme tunes is the one from Tom Baker's last season until Colin Baker's first one, the Peter Howell.
Good, yeah.
Accompaniment. I think for some reason that to me is my personal favorite of all the theme tunes. I think it's like a good rocking version of that theme song, and in a way, and actually that and the one from Modern Doctor from, I believe it was from Voyage of the Damned until the End of Time, that version as well. I think those two are my favorites out of all of those. Are the ones that kind of stuck with me, and also the original is a classic, and there's no doubt about that. And I just feel like all these different versions of the modern theme tune just hasn't really stuck with me since the End of Time. I mean, even though Capaldi, in my opinion, has the best opening titles, the music for that just didn't really stick with me, which is a bit of a maybe sacrilege for me to say, because Capaldi's here is my favourite of the show.
I was thinking, Before the Flood, that intro, that was great.
Yes, true. The rock theme is great. That version is really good, but I'm not a massive fan of the standard version. I agree.
Yeah,
nor Matt Smith's theme. I don't think that's that good either, really.
No, I don't know why they didn't use the Capaldi's theme tune ever since the rock version, since that story. Or better yet, if they used it since the beginning of his run, I think it would have helped stand out a bit more for me. But I don't know. It feels like I really want to have like a good, memorable version of that theme tune again. I'm hoping the one we hear on TV, hopefully, it'll be that. But I guess we have to end. It's okay. I think if I was to do like a ranking of all the different versions of the theme tune, it's probably in the middle, maybe sitting right there in the middle.
Yeah.
And I do think the theme tunes for Ruby and 15 were also pretty good. Especially, I feel like 15's theme. It does feel very almost reminiscent of Matt Smith's.
Yeah.
Like I'm the Doctor.
So
It does feel a little bit reminiscent, especially towards the end. So
100%.
It's be very interesting to see when that's going to be played in some of these episodes. I wonder if it's going to get introduced in the 60th.
Yeah, I think it will. Oh yeah, I think that'll be the moment he appears, will be that music playing, and that's just going to be his theme. I mean, I just think it's so epic and catchy and brilliant. I love it already. I think it just gets me so excited. You can just, the first time I listened to it, you could just picture like Shooty running up and down corridors, like jumping to press a button to stop the Earth exploding or something, like just. You can just picture him as the Doctor to that music. I think it's so just full of energy and excitement, and so sort of matching with I Am the Doctor as well. I feel like it just really is reminiscent of that era, and so probably we're going to hear it like every episode, multiple times. You're going to hear that piece of music, so you better like it because it's what we're going to hear a lot of. But I don't know. I thought it was really good. What about you, Charlie? Did you enjoy the themes for Ruby and 15?
Ruby's theme was fine. It was all right. Like, it's a sufficient enough companion theme. I don't really have any strong opinions on the companions.
I think we need to see her with that theme a bit more. I feel like to really get the feel for that one.
I mean, as far as like, I think the only like properly iconic ones that I could remember are like Clara's and Rose's.
Yeah.
But I'd say 15's theme is pretty great. I mean, from how similar it is to I Am the Doctor, I feel like we have more of an idea of what 15 is actually like, and I feel like he'll be very Matt Smith-esque, hopefully. Like, I can see him being it'd be like a slightly darker side that he hides a bit more like Matt Smith. I feel that sort of Doctor's quite good. I quite like that. But it's a great theme. It's really good. I can definitely picture that playing, like you said, Shooty running up and down corridors. It's pretty great. Yeah,
exactly. I think it's all that sort of stuff just gets me excited about the show, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what those themes are going to bring in the new episodes. And hopefully on our next podcast we'll have even more to talk about for the new era of the show, because we might, if we're really lucky, have a release date. But for now we are heading back 40 years, sort of 40 years. In some ways, like 3 or 4 years, some ways like a year, like we're talking about season 20, just to be clear. And I feel like the season 20 Blu-ray box set has probably got the most varied, like, new documentaries that were made many, many years apart from each other. Because this is the box set that I think has taken the longest to actually come to fruition. Because, for example, the trip to Germany for the convention, that was filmed in 2019, and yet we've only just got to see it. Whereas the one where they went to Amsterdam, that was filmed in 2022. I think the King's Demon feature was filmed in 2019 as well, I think. So it feels like a bit of a time travel within a box set almost, I feel like, alongside all the other previous DVD features. But it's great to be heading back to season 20 and a brand new Blu-ray box set with iconic stories like Arc of Infinity and the King's Demons and Terminus. I think it's a real highlight. It's a real highlight of my life. You guys know how much I love some of those stories. But of course there's the Five Doctors, which does also make it a great season, even if it's got some fairly low points. But of course we'll touch on the stories. I mean, Charlie, a favourite? If you could pick one story, is it the Five Doctors, or have you got a hot take?
Five Doctors is like the safe, normal choice, and I do think it is my favourite in the season. But for the sake of saying something else, I do really, really love Enlightenment. I think it's a fantastic story. The twist and everything is, and it's just like really well made, because it's like one of those pseudo historicals that's like, they sort of moved on from the pure historicals and they started bringing in sci-fi elements, but it doesn't look like a sort of period piece like the Time Warrior. and now this, which isn't even a historical to begin with. It's just completely fake, but I love it. It's really great. And it's just sort of, I feel it's basically the set design and costume departments basically flexing on us, like, yeah, look what we can do.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
It's pretty nice. Yeah, I love Enlightenment. It's really good. But if I had to pick a favorite, I would say Five Doctors. It's not a good Doctor Who story, but it's really fun. It's like a really, really sweet birthday cake. You can't eat too much of it, but it's really, really fun.
Yeah. Would definitely agree with that one. Yeah. Oh, sorry, you were gonna say sorry.
No, go for it. What's your yeah? Feel free to carry on.
My favorite, I think it would be Enlightenment. I rewatched it again recently, and it's still amazing. I still think it's probably my second favorite Peter Davison story after just Underneath Caves of Androzani. I think it's just a really good story. I like how it tricks you at the beginning. Like you think, oh, it's like a pirate story. It's set during or something that's set during this period. But then of course that twist comes in and what it's all really about. It's such a weird yet fascinating story, and that I get more from it every time I watch it. It's kind of like with Warrior's Gate almost. I wouldn't say it's as out there and as weird as Warrior's Gate, because I mean, Warrior's Gate was Warrior's Gate, but this is such a beautifully put together story that I think it should get more recognition because it's so well put together, and how they used all the concepts behind it I thought was just so brilliantly well done. And so yeah, I think that's probably still to this day my favorite of this season. And I think I said this before, the Five Doctors is pretty good, but I feel like it could have been a lot better. And hearing some of what it could have been behind the scenes, and if the rumours were true that if Tom Baker had come back, he would have been paired with Sarah Jane, and that they were maybe hoping to get Katie Manning back for Jo Grant, have her with 3. It would have made it that bit better. It would have just been. I just feel like it is definitely a good story, and watching it with my niece because she wanted to watch it. I mean, she was entranced by it, and it is fun to watch, but I feel like it's just not quite as good, especially when compared to the Three Doctors or Day of the Doctor.
Yeah, I totally get that. I think it is. I mean, yeah, it's a great anniversary. It's a great fun comfort Doctor Who, even if it's not necessarily the best Doctor Who that's ever been made. I think it's fair to say.
This is a really hot take, and it's not even to do with season 20, but I don't like the Three Doctors.
Controversial. Wow. I mean, I don't hate it, but I wouldn't say it's. I would choose the Five Doctors over the Three Doctors personally.
Really? I don't know why. It's just I always have for some reason I'm always drawn to the Three Doctors. I don't know why it is. I just think it's such a brilliant story, good team up between 3 and 2, and Omega. I think it's a very underrated villain with which, even though he comes across as a bit over the top, there's an element of tragedy behind him, more so than what we get in Arc of Infinity, which, I mean, the less said about Arc of Infinity, the better.
Well, indeed.
And so, yeah, I really like the Three Doctors, and Stephen Moffat said that he used it as a bit of an inspiration for Day of the Doctor, and I do see elements of that, and in that it is a bit of an anniversary, but it's more, as well as setting things up and looking forward to the future as well. And I definitely see the influence there. And in terms of influences go, I think that was the right pick over the Five Doctors, because as I said, Five Doctors is basically just, as you all said, it's basically comfort food. Basically, you can't eat too much of it, but for what is there, it's fun enough.
Yeah,
I mean, this is really controversial, but I'd say in terms of multi-Doctor stories, Day of the Doctor, Power of the Doctor, Five Doctors, Three Doctors, Two Doctors.
I can agree with that one. I'll agree with that last one. I mean, that's a fact. I broadly agree with you. I would broadly agree.
time and Time Crash and stuff. They don't count.
No,
But
they're not proper ones. They're the extra bits and bobs. So I wouldn't really include those in it. Yeah.
I mean, there is also Twice Upon a Time, but I tend to lump that in with World Enough and Time and the Doctor Falls. I think they count their own trilogy.
Yeah.
Really, because in a way, Twice Upon a Time you can't really see as its own story, even though you can. It feels like it's more of a conclusion to that World Enough and Time and the Doctor Falls, very much so.
Yeah, exactly.
But altogether, it is, I said this before, the best farewell to a Doctor ever, alongside Troughton. So.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's very true. Well, let's talk about some of the special features from the season 20 box set, because that's what we're all here for. And one story from season 20 that we haven't mentioned is Snake Dance, the sequel to Kinder from season 19, and of course featuring a very young Martin Clunes in one of his first TV roles. Now, in this box set, we got to have a great 25-minute interview between him and Janet Fielding, which when I watched it, I was surprised that it was actually as Doctor Who focused as it was. I kind of thought it was going to be one of those features where they spend the first 5 minutes talking about Doctor Who and then they spend the next 20 minutes talking about his career, which would have been totally fine. Like, he's a famous actor. Doctor Who was kind of like a tiny thing at the start of his career. So I thought it was really cool that he just had so much to actually say about being on Doctor Who and reminiscing so fondly about it, because you're also I feel like you're never quite sure whether somebody quite famous actually really has any positive feelings about having been in Doctor Who. Some of them are just like, don't really care, or like, what's that nonsense thing I did when I was younger or whatever. But I don't know, Charlie, what did you take from the conversation with Martin Clunes?
I mean, basically, I've got my notes here, and it's pretty much exactly what you just said, Ellie. I did think, like, because loads of the In Conversations, the official Matthew Sweet interviews, they're not very Doctor Who focused, really. Mm-hmm. Like, if you see the one with Colin Baker, he just talks about his childhood and then a little bit of Doctor Who, but for the most part, it's not really about Doctor Who. It's just an interview with the actor as like a sort of legacy thing to have. And this one was, I mean, it's not an official Matthew Sweet interview, but I think it was quite a breath of fresh air, because at the end of the day, it is a Doctor Who box set, and I want to learn about Doctor Who, and I think it's quite nice that we got two people both in Doctor Who just talking about that loads. I think it was really, really good. As always, it's just this happens every single box set, but I say it every single time. It's just, they don't need to do this stuff.
I know. Yeah,
they don't need to do any of this. They could just release the things, add some like random studio footage, add the trailer.
Yeah,
maybe a special feature or two, little documentary talking heads feature. That's all they need to do, and we'd still buy it, and we'd still talk about it.
Yeah, very much.
They do all this stuff, and I just think it's really great, because I don't think there's anywhere else that does Blu-ray sort of things this high caliber. It's really great. I'll miss these when they're gone, and then there'll be 2 years, and then we'll get new Who.
Well, that's the hope. That's certainly the hope. And I'm sure there'll be lots of famous actors to interview for features like this when we get to the new series as well. I think that'll be really, really interesting.
Christopher Eccleston.
Yes, I mean, I think that'll be one of the most highly anticipated Doctor Who content ever when they announce let's do it in conversation with Christopher Eccleston. Hurry up and record that, guys. We need to see it. Like, come on, please.
Like a 60-year-old David Tennant would be great.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Definitely. Reminiscing a bit more, hopefully sharing a bit more would be great as well. Once he's enough removed from his new appearance as well in the show.
Well, he'll probably be teasing his appearance in the 70th, knowing David Tennant.
Okay, true. Yeah. Will there be another anniversary special he's not in while he's still alive? Like, will he just turn up for every single one? I think he probably will. So Ryan, what did you take anything else from the Martin Clunes little feature, apart from it just sounded like they had lots of fun and lots of great memories from that time?
Yeah, it's pretty much echoing what both guys said. I mean, it was definitely a fun interview, and it was very like jovial as well. And that Alex, Martin Clunes said that he had a crush on Janet Fielding during it, and also talking about how Janet knew his father, having bought the biography, and talking about how someone defaced that biography and ended up, and other books as well, and got sentenced to 6 months imprisonment because of it, and just all these fascinating stories about how he set up kind of his own production company as well, and how Doc Martin got off the ground. It was definitely a very interesting documentary, and as you guys said, it was good how surprising how much he talked about Doctor Who, and how much he has positive feelings about it. I mean, and it's a good thing because I do think Snake Dance is a very underrated story. I know Kinder's brilliant, but I have to be put in that same conversation as well. And also it's a bit of a shame because I think there was meant to be a third Mara story that would have sort of been like a conclusion to the Mara trilogy. The conclusion that I would see it good, and it would have, I said, be its own trilogy. And yet, for some reason, that never happened, and it's
a shame.
It's a bit of a shame because I would have liked to have seen that third and final Mara story. But yeah, definitely a really good documentary, and who knows? I would really like Martin Clunes to make an appearance in modern Doctor Who as a different character.
Why don't they bring him back? I don't know. I feel like, come on, Russell. I think he's a guy worth bringing back. He's pretty famous, like, a famous, well-known actor. I think, it would be quite sensible, and there'd be definitely a good opportunity to bring him back. I think that could be quite interesting.
It's mention about different actors, because if in Dear of Armour, she was Susie Costello in Torchwood, and she's coming back in she got was first series as a different character. If they could bring her back, then they could bring Martin Clunes back as a different character.
Definitely. Stick him, make him a monster, stick him in a costume or something. I don't know. No problem. They can sort that out. They can definitely work that one out. I think it'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, same with Colin Baker. Worked out well for him. He was Max on the Guard, and then he became the Sixth Doctor.
There we go. Exactly. Clear proof we can do it. So it was great to see Martin Clunes in that feature, and to just add something new to Snake Dance as well, which I think is quite an underrated story. I think it's quite a good one, really. But I feel like a key feature of this, and to be fair, most of the Blu-ray box sets has been Janet Fielding and Sarah Sutton doing things together, whether it's documentaries, behind the sofas, whatever. And finally, we got an in conversation with not just one of them, but both of them together at the same time. So Charlie, Janet Fielding and Sarah Sutton. Was it where does it sit compared to other in conversations? Doing it in a slightly different format? Do you think it was having two of them was better or worse than other ones? What do you take from it?
It annoys the little perfectionist part of my brain because I like the format and I just think it worked. Like, I really loved the Colin Baker one, the Sylvester McCoy one.
Yeah,
pretty good. I mean, I do think the Doctor ones are the best. I do think those are obviously the best because they're the Doctors, but companion ones can be great too. But I do think it annoyed me very, very slightly how they did a joint one. I just think, would it kill them to do separate ones? And I'm guessing we're gonna get because I assumed that we'd get something like season 20, we get Sarah Sutton, then season 21, we get Janet Fielding, but I'm guessing they're saving Mark Strickson for season 21.
Presumably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense to have, to split it like that, because who else are they going to have for season 21, really?
Yeah, it's true.
There's only like 4 of them, and 3 of them already had.
Yeah, there's not really any other options apart from getting production crew, I suppose. But then even who would you get?
Exactly. It's like there's some season like season 7. Who are they going to get for season 7?
There's hardly anybody.
Maybe I was going to say Richard Franklin, but he wasn't in season 7. I think
it was a nice enough documentary. I mean, I did like it. I do think it does annoy me slightly the change in format because I like it how I just think it wouldn't have killed them to split it apart.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Yeah,
I think we could have done 2, and it would have been fine. And we've seen box sets with 3 of these on recently. Like, it's pretty standard to do that now, so I don't think that would have been a problem at all, really.
Even though it was a little bit annoying that weren't separate, what we still got was still a really good interview overall. Still, regardless, and it's some interesting tidbits about how they felt, which I definitely noticed that the relationship between Tegan and Nyssa and Farr was definitely better once Adric left. It was definitely interesting then to hear them say it, because I mean, I always felt Adric was dead weight, basically. I thought he was dead weight ever since his first story, honestly.
Yeah.
And and they talked about how they felt it strengthened, and just hearing just other fascinating tidbits about how Sarah Sutton felt like her acting was better during this season compared to season 18 and 19, and she felt like she wasn't given that much like the direction during it. She was kind of felt like she was floundering a bit, and I definitely noticed that she definitely got better at playing Nissa towards the end. I definitely noticed that early on that she didn't seem like she was giving it 100%, yeah, it would have probably been because of a directing issue, probably, and that also that J&T was trying to get rid of her at the end of season 19, but Peter fought so hard to keep her on, so they got rid of Adric instead, which was frankly the better choice, honestly. And but even then, he still got rid of her halfway to season 20, and Sarah said that she was really upset by this because she would have happily stayed on for that bit longer, and how genuinely emotional she was at the end, and how she didn't really got a proper goodbye, really, because of how tight that filming of Terminus was and how chaotic that shoot was. And so it was definitely an interesting interview, and of course we would have liked it if it was a bit more separate, but nevertheless what we got instead was still really good and interesting. Also hearing Janet talking about her views and talking about how she felt about her experience with Doctor Who, and it was definitely really fascinating, and how she felt the guest stars got more attention than the regulars did, and they kind of felt a bit on the sidelines a bit, which was very interesting to hear, and I'm hearing her how she talks about this. It does make me thankful that they did manage to bring her back for Power of the Doctor, because I mean, her and Sophie Aldred are, for me, the best companions of the 80s, and so it was. So I'm really happy that they managed to bring them back, and so it just made me all the more appreciate Janet Fielding's commitment to Doctor Who, and as well as Sarah Sutton, because it was interesting to hear some of her points as well. So it was definitely a good interview. I mean, of course, the interviews with the doctors have been legendary, but it was definitely interesting to hear from both of them. It was. I thought it was good.
Yeah, no, I think it was definitely still a good.
Yeah, pretty much.
It wasn't the absolute highlight of the box sets, or maybe of the box set or of the In Conversation. It's still a very good one, I think, and it was certainly worth them doing it. If they decided they couldn't do two individually, then I'm glad they did that one with the two of them instead. I think that was a good way to approach it. So the next feature I wanted to talk about was the making of the King's Demons. Now, I'm not sure that the King's... Is it the King's Demon or the King's Demons, firstly?
King's Demons.
Demons, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say this comes in anybody's top anything list to do with Doctor Who. It feels like a largely forgettable 2 episodes, but it was nevertheless filmed in a very cool location at Bodiam Castle. That's only about an hour's drive from where I live. I really need to go and visit Bodiam Castle because I don't live very far away. So I'll do that sometime. Maybe do a video about it. Who knows? But it was really cool to see them all back on location. To head out to Bodiam Castle. I feel like as a location, it's a really cool castle. Like, it's a cool looking castle, a good place to film a Doctor Who story. In many ways, it's a shame that they didn't do a huge amount with it, really. And I think that the director in the documentary kind of acknowledges, and he was walking around it for this feature and was like, well, why didn't we film that there? Why didn't we film this there? Like, sort of, they underutilized the great location that they had, I think I got the impression of. But I felt there were quite a few interesting stories in there as well. And it was, I thought it was really quite an informative documentary. I don't know, Charlie, what did you think of this particular making of?
At the end of the day, they're making this not because it's an incredibly creative piece of work, but it's ticking a box because we didn't have any in the DVDs.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That said, they could have done a 20-minute talking head documentary,
Yes.
and they didn't. And I'm pretty thankful for that.
Yeah.
It seems to be a pretty common theme among the collection box sets. They go to
Yes.
the location they filmed it, and it works.
Yeah.
I think, and yeah, we have some stunning locations in Doctor Who, really. Like, the Two Doctors wasn't great, but all the filming in Spain is fantastic.
Yeah.
And, I mean, same with Amsterdam. The Arc of Infinity isn't that great. And with Bodiam Castle. And King's Demons isn't that great. But I feel it was just nice to see that, you know, it's the bottom line. I watched this like well over a week ago now. I'm not my memory of it is a little bit rusty, but basically bottom line is it's way more interesting than a talking heads documentary, and just better than we got on the Blu-rays, on the DVDs. So I'm pretty thankful for that. And I feel they should just keep doing this, where we don't have the, you know, we go to the filming location for the other special features, because we've got some great ones.
Yeah, it does feel like a no-brainer for some of these stories to just go to the location. Like you automatically, your documentary is more interesting if you are at the place where you can do the classic transition shot of, look, here it is in the Doctor episode, fades through to the shot of it and how it looks now. Just basic stuff like that. Okay, it costs money to go to the locations, but fundamentally is a pretty straightforward thing to think to do. But actually it adds so much, I think, to these documentaries, and it's really, really great to see. But I don't know, Ryan, I felt like there were some really interesting stories. I sort of feel like I didn't fully know. Obviously, I knew quite a lot about like Chameleon, the problems of Chameleon and stuff like that. But I didn't really realise that it was such a... It kind of ruins the opportunities for the director, Tony Virgo, of having any future chances in Doctor Who, because JNT basically kind of blamed him or put it on him in some way. And so he never got the chance to do Doctor Who again. And I thought it was quite a sad moment to sort of end the documentary on, where he was like, yeah, I really wish I could have done more Doctor Who. I don't know, I found that particularly interesting.
Yeah, this was actually the very first time I heard about the story of Chameleon, of what's going to, because for years, I always thought, what was the point of Chameleon? For years and years, and now I finally know the story here. And honestly, this was an idea that they should have really thought about before actually putting it forward on screen. It felt like it just struck to me. JNT was like, "Oh, we have a new robot psychic. It's like the new K9, but obviously bigger, better, you know, and he can shapeshift and all that." And it's such a failed experiment, and it looks rubbish. I'm sorry, it doesn't look good, and I don't know what JT was thinking of when he saw that, because apparently he saw an automaton performing somewhere live, and he was like, you want that to be a Doctor? It's going to be walking and talking, and I'm just like, why did you think it would be working in the early to mid 80s? I mean, I know there were like animatronic stuff seen in films, but like we see like in Aliens, you know, with the whole animatronics of the mask and everything, and also Child's Play with the Chucky doll, with how they did the animatronics and puppeteering of that, and obviously, but those are feature films with bigger budgets. And like, this is a BBC production in the mid to late 80s, where Doctor Who's budget is not what it used to be. It's towards the end of the series. The budget's nearly run out. What were they thinking of?
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, and obviously it just ended up proving to be a constant source of problems and delays for them. And it's weird that he placed the blame on the director when it was JNT's idea in the first place to have Chameleon. It just doesn't make any sense, and you can kind of see why after this they wanted to try and write Chameleon out as soon as possible. I mean, there was that infamous deleted scene from The Awakening where it looked like he's just slouching over the wall, and it's like as if he's drunk or something.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
bad. And then, of course, with Planet of Fire, they do find a way, sort of a way around it in Planet of Fire, but which at least made Chameleon a bit interesting, but it was too little too late at that point, really. There was no saving it. And yeah, this was my first time hearing about Chameleon, just hearing everything, it just made perfect sense why Chameleon was ended up being so pointless. It was a bad idea from the get go. That honestly, the less said about Chameleon, the better. We could just pretend it never existed. Just
Yeah, I think that's probably the best thing to do. We have our little moment watching this documentary. We realize the Chameleon disaster, and then we move on. And at least they did that. They realized that for themselves. They wrote him out pretty. They gave him a clear ending in Planet of Fire, and we're like, "Yep, that's it. We're done with him. No need to think about that again." Because, yeah, very much, I think, a failed experiment. I think it's.
Yeah.
I think when Doctor Who, right, it has like going on 900 episodes, 300 story arcs, and 60 years. I think it's allowed a little slip up like that every now and then. Like, you know, some of them smaller, like Chameleon, some of them as big as a whole season or 3. Not aimed at any particular.
Very subtle.
No, I'm really, really salty because I'm hating Series 11 even more now. I don't like it. It's just not good. But anyway, Chameleon wasn't great, but I am glad they sort of realized their mistake, like you said, Elliot, and just wiped him out. Like, not happening, didn't really work. At the end of the day, though, I do admire their ambition, because at the end of the day, they do try to do some crazy stuff like that, and I think it's better than just being really boring and not doing anything.
Yeah, and even I definitely get that. It just feels like the way they were saying that this is going to be better than K9, and I'm like, I don't love K9. I like K9. I don't love him, but compared to K9, K9 is like Jamie or Sarah Jane Smith in comparison to Chameleon. It just I mean, I don't know. It just feels like such a baffling idea from the get go. I mean, it's almost just as baffling as something like the realization of Errata, frankly, although not quite as legendary.
It's been a few episodes since we mentioned him as well. I feel like it's been a while, so we had to get that reference back in again.
I had to bring him in again. Can't escape him.
Was that period of time in like late 2021, early 2022, and we had every single episode we mentioned him.
But there was often a reason to. Like, there was a box set, and then we were doing best and worst episodes and all that stuff. Like, there was genuine reasons. So I'm glad we mostly moved on. And we've got Errata, we've got Chameleon, some of the low lights of Doctor Who, I think it's fair to say. But I felt like even if the story and some of the stuff in it wasn't that great, this actual documentary was still an interesting one. As you say, Charlie, it was a making of documentary. Like, it's never going to be groundbreaking, but it is a much more fun way to do it than a Talking Heads documentary. And as you said, Ryan, you learned some new stuff about Chameleon from it. So, I feel like it served its purpose and did it in a slightly more visually interesting way than some previous documentaries we've seen, which is great. And so the final kind of new documentaries that I wanted to come onto that I feel are kind of come as a pair, because they're kind of not quite doing the same thing, but they're kind of in a similar vein of Peter Davison, Janet Fielding, Sarah Sutton going on a road trip, and there's also Mark Strickson in the second one. So of course it's the what they called Look Who's Driving. Sorry, into the emphasis, and Let's Go Dutch. Two quite good titles, I think it's fair to say. Which saw us in the first one seeing the three of them take a road trip to a German Doctor Who convention in 2019. I feel like, let's talk about this one first, because I feel like this one was definitely less Doctor Who-y than the second one, where it was actually, we're going to Amsterdam for a purpose. This was just, we're going to a Doctor Who convention, let's just film our wacky road trip. I don't know, Ryan, what did you think of this documentary? I'm really interested. What did you think?
I thought it was fun. It's definitely good, light-hearted fun, and basically them going on a road trip, having some laughs along the way, a few mishaps, doing something new each day, like learning how to make chocolate with
Yeah.
Doctor Who on it, which I will say it was definitely interesting to see how they learned how to do it. It was definitely. I mean, if I was to end up abroad sometime, I wouldn't mind learning how to do that. Looks fun. And I thought it was good light-hearted fun. I did laugh. I did laugh consistently throughout. It's definitely good light-hearted fun, and I will say it was. I don't know if I would say it's the best feature, but it's the one I had fun with the most.
Yeah,
it's fair. I think it's the one I've had more fun with the most because, as it is definitely a good light-hearted adventure across Europe. So yeah, if you want to have a good time, it is a good watch.
Yeah. No, I think that's pretty fair. I think it definitely was targeted at laughs and just at having a bit of fun. That was kind of the whole concept of it, wasn't it? Really, it wasn't meant to be about Doctor Who particularly. It was, let's spend a few days with your favorite 1980s Doctor Who trio. Charlie, what was your feelings on it?
Pretty much the same. It's nice, fun, light-hearted, not background viewing necessarily, but like it could be. It's nothing groundbreaking or like overly serious.
Yeah.
It's just it's a lot of fun, basically. I mean, this was the 2019 one, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's very interesting because I know this documentary has been like, well, it was really the Let's Go Dutch that was rumored for ages and ages.
Yeah.
But it's interesting in a pre-COVID world.
Yeah.
Just and that this documentary is 4 years old and we're just watching it now.
I know, it's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was 2019 at the time. I assumed it was like 2021, 2, maybe even 3.
This was filmed in I think it's like June 2019, something like that, I think.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and then the other one was filmed in August 2022, the Amsterdam one. So
That,
both over a year old, but yeah, 4 years old.
That's pretty insane. I mean, I feel Peter Davison, well, Janet Fielding and Sarah Sutton especially, and Peter Davison to a lesser extent are sort of accepted. They're the main characters of the collection range.
Yes.
They're constantly appearing in absolutely every single box set, even if it's like completely out of their era. They would just appear in everything, and I think that they couldn't be happier because at the end of the day, I think they all loved being on Doctor Who, and they're just having a great time with their old co-stars, just doing some more Doctor Who stuff. And I feel they've sort of realised over time that they're loved still by so many fans, and I think it's really nice to see, and you can tell in this documentary especially.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it looks like they're having a great time. I do feel like I've had a bit of an overdose of them now. I feel like having watched a lot of these documentaries quite close together in time, I feel like I need to have a break from seeing those three together for a little while, because I feel like I've, just the constant dynamics between them of like Peter getting mad at them all the time about anything and making self-deprecating jokes about how terrible Doctor Who is at times and stuff like that. I just, it's quite funny, to be fair, but also it can sometimes be quite a lot, I feel like. So I sort of feel like it's one of those features I'm not going to rush back to watch again anytime soon. Like, it was a fun hour, but I also, and it's cool. It's like, it's just not my favourite era of the show, I think. And they're not my favourite, people from Doctor Who, for want of a better word. So it's fun and it is enjoyable, but I don't think it's anything amazing. If anything, I feel like I enjoyed the Amsterdam one a bit more. I do think that the addition of Mark Strickson actually makes quite a difference. I think Mark Strickson's actually a really interesting guy, and I think he really helps to kind of bring a bit, obviously his role there is to kind of almost bring a little bit of structure to it and bring a bit of actual, let's actually add some depth to this and ask some questions about Doctor Who and get something out of it. And I felt like in the Amsterdam when you just got that little bit more, still with all the fun and joking and messing about sort of that we saw in the Germany one, but just with a bit more Doctor Who focus on it. Like all those silly recreations they were doing and stuff were just I just thought they were really fun and silly. And when they had to go and walk into the crypt and you saw them and revealing the magic of television and stuff, I like all that stuff. I just thought was really, really entertaining. I don't know, Ryan, would you say you enjoyed the Amsterdam one more or less than the other one?
I mean, the Amsterdam one is a better documentary. In terms of the one I had more fun with, it's the road trip one. I want just hearing Mark Strickson take them on a tour throughout Amsterdam was definitely interesting. And as I said, as a documentary, it was definitely well put together, and especially towards the end when they fans on a ferry and on a boat, and that was definitely a nice way to end it with the fans asking them questions and then I thought it was definitely a nice, sweet way of ending the documentary, and that caught me by surprise. I thought it was just going to be just those four across Amsterdam, but then having to end the last, I think, 10 minutes on that, I think it was definitely a good, surprising, and ultimately really nice way of ending it. And I will say, so yeah, it is definitely a better documentary, but in terms of if you want to have a good time or a good laugh, it's the road trip one, certainly. But they're both really good.
Yeah. I do tend to agree. What about you, Charlie? What would you pick as your favorite?
Definitely Let's Go Dutch. It's just I feel it's very much that's the documentary that's sort of like all the special features. This is like the one that's being promoted, and it's like it's very, there's in every box set there's like a main documentary, really.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And this is the one for season 20, and it's really good. I think what you were saying about Mark Strickson earlier definitely is true. He's not appeared in as much, and is a nice sort of counterweight to the sort of. I mean, they're really fun, but at the end of the day, it does get very predictable.
Yes.
Given how used to
that's what it is. Yeah,
we are, and it's quite nice to just have another little element into the mix. And I think it's really good. I mean, the reason why we've got this so late is because of this documentary, because obviously the whole issue was Mark Strickson being in New Zealand, was it, or Australia?
New Zealand. Yeah, they joked about it in the documentary.
And it's finally filming it in 2022, but obviously if it wasn't for COVID, we would have this like 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think the main takeaway from this box set is because season 20, the collection, has been such a meme for like 4 years now. What's next?
I know.
I was thinking about this after I finished it. What is next? Because I have no idea.
Yeah, I feel like almost from the very start with season 12, we've kind of always had like a leak of what the next one's going to be, or a strong rumor or something that's given us like a real clue.
Yeah.
And now I feel like we don't have any clue.
Yeah, I feel like we could be getting a Tom Baker season next.
Seems likely,
because it's been a bit of a little bit of a while since we've had
2 years.
I think it's either going to be season 15 or 16.
16.
Key to time, please. I want the key to time. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a shame if it was season 15, which is nothing against it, but I just feel like only half of that season's great, really good, but the other half just stinks, really. So
well, I love Invasion of Time, so I'll be happy if season 15 comes out.
Invasion of Time is a great 4-parter with a really bad 2-parter stuck on the end.
Well, I mean, I don't think the 2-parter's that bad. It's the Doctor running around the TARDIS for 2 episodes. I think that's quite fun, even if it is a mental hospital. But it's still kind of fun.
I don't know why. Something about Invasion of Time just kind of bugs me a bit. You feel like there's just something not right with it. I mean, of the 3, it's probably just as good as Invisible Enemy, which is not saying much, but even then, both are better than Underworld. But even then, it's I mean, I would be surprised if that happens, then okay, I'll be happy that Horror, Fang Rock, in Image of the Vendor, and Sunmakers are on Blu-ray. At least I'll take that out of it, certainly. But I am hoping it's season 16 because I love those first 4 stories.
I think it'd be interesting if we get a Troughton season, because they've proved that they're not scared to do box sets for seasons where they're not complete. So I think season 5 would be very nice.
Yeah. It's pretty much complete with animation now, isn't it? It's nearly there.
It's everything except Wheel in Space.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wheel in Space is the other one they need to do. And with season 6, I think it's the Space Pirate. Less said about the Space Pirate.
And I think War Games on Blu-ray would be incredible. Given us, I think, all our favourite story, or was it all except?
I think we did.
It was my second favourite. Classic Doctor Who story, but I love War Games. I say it rivals Capaldi's End trilogy as my favorite Final Doctor story, and if that ends up on Blu-ray, that would just be the best thing ever. Really, I really hope it's season 6. I mean, but then again, any Troughton season would be brilliant. But I mean, of course, I would like another Hartnell season, but of course, for obvious reasons, that's not going to happen. But
nope. Well, they either need to get on with it or release it without an unearthly child. But I mean, we could do a whole podcast on that, really, couldn't we? But yeah, maybe we won't be watching. I mean, have you got your black market copies of An Unearthly Child on DVD still?
Yeah, I still got my copy. It's actually staring in front of me right now.
Love it.
My DVD copy of Unearthly Child. So yeah, a little part of me is tempting to get another copy just in case. A little, I mean, but I don't know, man. Of all the moments this could have happened, it had to happen now. It's and especially when a season 1 Blu-ray box set hasn't been announced yet. Oh my god, it's so annoying. I'm so worried about that season 1 set now. I am so incredibly worried.
Yeah.
They just need to wait, right? Do like 25 or something really random like that and just wait out.
Yeah, clearly, absolutely. The best option now is just to wait it out as long as possible. Like give it 5, because we've still got, as we said, we've got 12 box sets left to release, and at best they're doing 3 a year, if not 2 a year. So you're talking at least 4, probably 5 years. So if you hold that back to almost the end, then you've got 4 years to sort out all those legal disputes, haven't you?
Yeah, and there's also the wilderness years that they could do in the meantime, because I think they'll want to. I mean, you can't do Classic Doctor without Paul McGann, and he does count. I'm happy, and I think some of the features from the documentaries hadn't been included because I think they fit more in line with the wilderness years. Exactly. So hopefully,
it'll definitely happen.
They might do that.
Yeah,
they might do that in the meantime.
Yeah, we'll have like a Wilderness Years box set at some point with all the random stuff, with the TV movie being the main thing.
In conversation, just a load of random stuff with it. Yeah,
I think in conversation with Paul McGann would be really interesting. I think, given he's the weird doctor in between that. That's it, and then
that'd be great fun.
Even doing a behind the sofa for just that one story with them. Paul McGann, that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, cool. And I can guarantee you that Janet Fielding and Sarah Sutton will be watching it from behind the sofa. We know that's a certainty.
And of course it would be a bit fitting for Janet Fielding because apparently she was Paul McGann's agent.
Oh yeah.
So it would be actually kind of fitting if that happens. So that would be interesting. I think they'll also include the 30th anniversary documentary, 30 years in the TARDIS, and of course I think they'll do the Scream of the Shulker animation.
Dimensions in Time.
They can license it,
and also that comic relief special with Rowan Atkinson,
Curse of Fatal Death.
I would. I mean, of the two, I would definitely much rather have that than Dimensions in Time.
They'll have everything just because it exists.
Exactly. Yeah, they'll just chuck it all on. That's the last box set it could go on. So you just fill it out. Just fill all the discs up with stuff. That's all we need to do, really. It'll be great. Be a great time. So before we finish off, I feel like we should just mention the 5 Doctors because they released the 40th anniversary special edition version because we needed another version of the 5 Doctors. We don't have enough already. But it did have, I thought, some pretty good new special effects in it. It looked amazing in terms of the actual HD-ness of it. I feel like the original film inserts being put back in, it looked incredible. The new special features were great, and the new special effects were great, and we were back to a sensible length version of the 5 Doctors rather than the VHS version they did where they added on 10 minutes of extra footage that was kind of a waste of time. I don't know, Ryan, did you enjoy the new 40th anniversary edition of the 5 Doctors?
Yeah, it was definitely really good. Definitely some really good special effects work, and my niece certainly seemed really fascinated by that. She looked very like she was glued to the screen and sort of dazzled by it, which is always nice. And I think they did a good job. Obviously, the little part of me is just thinking, it'd be nice if they also did this to the slightly extended version as well to sort of complete it. But I'm still happy that they did this, and yeah, it obviously it was. We all joke about like, oh, it's another version of the Five Doctors, but you could definitely understand
Yeah.
why now because
Yeah.
of the new effects that they've done, and watching it on my 4K TV, it definitely does look really good. I definitely noticed the upgrade in quality. It was kind of mind blowing, really, just how different and better it looks. It was really good, and it was definitely a major surprise. Even though I don't love the Five Doctors, I was just completely blown away by how much they've just improved it visually.
Yeah, exactly. And did you get a chance to watch the new version, Charlie?
I'm afraid I didn't. Very busy with time in the Rani right now.
Yes, of course. Sorry, you got to prioritize time in the Rani.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Season 23, and then now time in the Rani. It's not fun. Nearly done, nearly Paradise Towers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't watched it. I have seen clips of the new special effects, and they do look very nice, really. Given its release of a Doctor Who season with limited budget from 40 years ago, done by the BBC, it's pretty good, really. Given they don't have to do this.
Yeah,
exactly. I think it's a bit of a meme now that there's another time scoop.
Yep. To add to the others. Yeah. Yeah.
I still think the original one still looks the most charming, but I don't know. But yeah, it does look really good, like objectively. I feel it's becoming Peter Davison's Sharda a bit. It's like there's just a bit one too many versions, I think. I mean, it was like June 2021, we did that episode on Sharda and all the different versions.
Yeah.
Don't remember that. We should do a Five Doctors.
Yeah, I mean, there is quite a few versions now, and there's novelizations and all that kind of stuff as well. So they just need to do an animated version for no reason, and then I feel like we would have ticked the boxes really for all of them, and then it's perfect for a podcast episode.
Yeah. But... No, and then they need to do an audio with like the Seventh Doctor or something.
Yes, that's it. Yes, sorry. Yeah, of course, you need to voice it with somebody else. I mean, there's already an audio commentary with David Tennant on there from years ago as well. That's quite fun to listen to. I remember listening to that years ago. It was great fun. Him and wasn't it Judy Gardner and like Phil Collinson or something like that on the set of Gridlock? I think it was.
It was a different writer, so I think it was Helen Rain.
Oh, was it? Yes.
It was. I think it was recorded back in 2006 as they were doing series 3. And it was funny because now we have 4 audio commentaries. We have the original, the 2007, 2008 one with some of the companions. Then we have the David Tennant one. Then we have the extended edition version with Tone Stick and Peter Davison. And now we have this new one that's for the special effects version with Davison, Janet Fielding, and Mark Strickson. So, and also
many commentaries.
We got new commentaries as well.
Yeah, exactly, full of new stuff, and I feel like that's what this box set is kind of full of, because there's lots of stuff we haven't even touched on. We won't touch on, like all the extra Longleat stuff that's in there. There's just stupid amounts of extra archive stuff in there. Like it's crazy news reports and all of it. Obviously, Behind the Sofa's back again as well, and that's kind of fun and the same as always. I feel like it's fair to say. But as a whole, I feel like the season 20 box set's it feels like one of the biggest ones we've had. Like it's a full 9 discs, and it feels like big. And there's so much in it. There is so much packed in it because there's obviously just so much stuff that's already been released in the past as well, alongside all the studio footage and location footage and all this stuff. It just I wouldn't say it's necessarily my favourite box set we ever had, but I think that's probably more just down to the season that it is, because it's just not one of my favourite seasons of Doctor Who. Like, it's some good stuff in there, but it's not fundamentally a favourite. So I don't think I can call this box set a favourite compared to some of the ones that we've seen in the past. I think it's fair to say. I don't know. Is this a favourite for you or not, Charlie?
It's up there. It's up there. I mean, I have a soft spot for season 20. I think it's my favourite Davison season. As controversial as that is, it doesn't have Warriors of the Deep or Twin Dilemma.
Yeah,
the acting is a lot better than season 19. I feel none of the seasons are that great in this era, I'm afraid, but this is the best, I think. Yeah. But favourite box set is season 8 still.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
it's not absolutely enormous, but it is a very, very well done box set. It just feels really nice. Yeah,
the features on there are fantastic. Yeah, there's some real good stuff in there. And Ryan, for you, a favourite box set or not?
Yeah, it's probably the same feelings as you. I think it's because I'm not a huge fan of this season. But then again, in a way, the Peter Davison Davison era. Reminds me a lot of the Jodie Whittaker era in that it's a mixed bag, but at least they end on a really good high note with their last story. So it does feel like that. In terms of box sets, I will agree season 8 was good. I do like season 12 a lot because it was the first one. One of my favourite seasons. Tom Baker's my joint favourite Doctor. And of course, that first box set came out the same time my niece was born, around the same time. So of course it feels a lot very special to me. And so season 12 holds a dear special place in my heart because of that.
And that's just about all we've got time for in this edition of KerVAM. Do remember to check us out on Twitter at KerVAMPod. You can also, of course, enjoy the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as my YouTube channel, EMS Productions, so do check it out there. But we'll be back again soon with lots of 60th news to come. The Underwater Menace animation is being released very soon as well, so there's lots to look forward to in the world of Doctor Who. But from me, from Ryan, and from Charlie, it's goodbye for now.